Shot recap here. This is Bring Her Back, from the directors of Talk to Me. An orphaned brother and sister move into their foster mother's house. A strange boy already lives there, and the woman is obsessed with occult rituals she studies through old VHS tapes. The movie opens with a VHS recording. A cult performs a dark ritual, a girl inside a circle, a corpse, a victim hanging by the altar, and a cameraman filming it all. Then we shift to teenager Andy and his blind stepsister Piper. After a failed attempt to socialize with local girls, Andy takes her home, where an even worse nightmare awaits. Their father doesn't respond from the shower. Andy breaks the lock and finds his dead father lying on the floor in a puddle of his own vomit. After their father's body was taken away, the kids were placed in social services. Since Andy is still a minor, he can't be Piper's guardian and must live in a group home himself. For Piper, social worker Wendy has already found a foster mother, her former colleague Laura. The kids ask Wendy not to separate them and to convince their new guardian to take them both. It's only temporary anyway, until Andy turns 18. After spending their last night in their father's house, which is already being prepared for sale, the brother and sister head to Laura's the next day. She's endlessly happy to see them, though she's somewhat cold toward Andy, forced to fuss over Piper. When Laura gets distracted by a phone call, Andy lets her cat out. He goes outside to retrieve the pet and spots an empty backyard pool where some half-naked kid has already caught the cat. After getting the cat back, Laura leads the newcomers into the house to take their measurements. It turns out Laura once had a daughter, Katie, who was blind like Piper and the same age, but drowned in the pool. The kid in the yard is Oliver, another one of her wards. Piper is settled into the room that once belonged to Laura's daughter, while Andy has to make do with the storage closet. Once settled, Andy texts his friends about Oliver, whom he sees as a weirdo. Laura catches him in the act. As soon as Andy gets distracted talking to his sister, she grabs his phone to read his messages. This enrages Andy, and his reaction frightens Laura. That night, after everyone has gone to bed, Laura turns on the VCR and watches a recording of some occult ritual, ripped from the site Black Angel tapes. Andy can't sleep in the new place. Noticing the backyard light turn on, he looks out the window and sees Laura leading Oliver to the shed behind the pool. The next morning, Laura sits on the edge of the pool, staring at the sky, waiting for rain. Andy wakes up to find he's wet the bed out of habit. He secretly washes his pajama pants to avoid any embarrassing nicknames. While doing laundry, he nervously glances at the shower in the corner. Since their father's death, he's developed a deep-seated fear of it. Laura checks on the motionless Oliver, locks him up, and takes Andy and Piper to the funeral. At the coffin, the older brother deliberately avoids looking at the body, even though his sister asks him to describe what he sees. When it's Laura's turn to say goodbye, she quietly snips a lock of hair from the corpse and takes it home with her. Then the guardian tells Andy he needs to say goodbye to their father, explaining that the soul lingers in the body for a while, so proper respect must be shown. Meanwhile, back at the house, Oliver breaks the glass with his hands and, bleeding, heads toward the shed. Unable to open it, the boy breaks into a fenced chicken coop, but to no avail. On the way home, Laura suggests throwing a party to lift the kids' spirits. The celebration includes drinking alcohol, even though the brother and sister are still underage and not supposed to drink. Still, the booze lightens the mood for everyone except the orphans and Oliver, who watches from outside. When a drunk Piper is pulled off to bed, Laura and Andy decide to share secrets, sitting back to back to make it easier. Andy admits that their father was pretty harsh with him, but always gentle with his sister. Laura says she misses Katie and would do anything just to hear her call her mom again. After putting the kids to bed, Laura goes to the bathroom and urinates into a plastic cup. She secretly spills the collected urine on Andy to make him think he wet himself again while drunk. Laura deletes all the photos Andy took inside her house. Then she spots Oliver wandering outside with the cat and brings him inside to treat his wounds. The boy acts strangely. Meanwhile, the bathroom faucet turns on by itself and the mirror cracks. The next morning, Andy, noticing he wet himself, takes his clothes to do laundry. Laura and Piper are already there. Taking the clothes, they toss them into the washing machine before the girls leave on an errand. Left alone, Andy can't bring himself to use the shower and washes up outside at the faucet. There, he notices Oliver locked in his room. The boy swats a fly on the glass and eats it. Andy decides to befriend his new brother and goes upstairs to him. Finding the door locked by Laura, Laura, he picks the lock with a knife like he used to. He takes Oliver to the kitchen, offers him some melon, and, trying to connect, suggests communicating through writing since Oliver doesn't speak. Andy offers Oliver a piece of melon on the tip of a knife. Turning away for a moment, he doesn't notice the boy biting the blade and cutting himself. Alarmed, Andy grabs him and drags him to the car to take him to the hospital. But at the white line marking the property boundary, Oliver fiercely resists. When Andy finally pulls him across the line, the boy falls on his back and screams as he goes into a seizure. At that moment, Laura returns with Piper. Seeing Oliver, she drags him back inside. Suddenly, the boy speaks, asking where he is. Laura plays a tape recording of the ritual and finds a way to calm him. She covers his mouth and soothes his forehead with circular strokes. Back in the kitchen, a worried Andy notices that before the seizure, Oliver wrote the word bird on a piece of paper. Then, he asks Laura if they should take the boy to the hospital, but she tells him not to meddle. After shutting the door in his face, she later feeds Oliver a lock of Andy Piper's deceased father's hair. Piper sets out with her cane to search around the house for the missing cat. She walks along the white line marking the property, a protective circle visible only from above. Meanwhile, Andy decides to face his fear of the shower by entering it fully clothed. Suddenly, behind the divider, he sees a silhouette of his father saying, "She'll die in the rain." Shocked, Andy slips and falls, hitting his head. While he's in the hospital, the rain begins to fall, slowly filling the pool. Visiting Andy, Laura accidentally reveals that she killed his father but quickly shifts the conversation, saying the teenager confused rain with the shower. Back at home, Laura waits for the pool to fill with enough water while reviewing video recordings of her late daughter. When Piper joins her, Laura takes the girl to play in the rain, then dresses her in her deceased daughter's clothes in the shed. She also lets Piper touch what's stored in the freezer there, the frozen body of Katie herself. Later, Laura watches more cult footage, revealing that to resurrect a person, a special demon must inhabit a foreign body. Then the corpse must be fed to the demon, which will regurgitate the remains into another body, one that must be killed the same way as the resurrector. Clearly, Laura intends to bring back her daughter using the possessed Oliver by sacrificing Piper. After Andy returns from the hospital, she sprays him with perfume and sneaks into Piper's room. There, she strikes the sleeping girl in the face to frame her brother for abuse. By scent alone, the blind girl realizes who hit her. During the morning confrontation, Laura claims Andy is compensating for abuse from their father. This sparks an argument that worsens when Andy tries to photograph Oliver standing in the rain. Laura smashes his phone, and Andy nearly punches her in the face. Afterward, to avoid frightening his sister, Andy goes to the social services office. While waiting, he notices a missing person poster for a Connor bird who looks just like Oliver. He shares his suspicions with Wendy. Though she trusts her experienced colleague more than a stressed teenager, she agrees to investigate. Laura takes Piper to a goalball practice, a sport for visually impaired people, and returns home to prepare the house for the ritual. When she comes back, she finds Oliver, possessed by the demon, has made a mess. Trying to satisfy his devilish hunger, the boy lunges at Laura and bites her arm. She escapes by locking herself in her room, while Oliver gnaws on a table in a hunger frenzy. When the boy goes outside, Laura leaves her room and soothes the demon by rubbing her hand in circular motions. Then she leads him to the shed, showing the freezer containing Katie's corpse, the real feast for which the demon was summoned. Andy drives to Laura's with Wendy. On the way, Andy leaves Piper a voicemail describing their father's abuse and warning that Laura is up to something sinister, but he and Wendy will handle it. He doesn't know Laura has Piper's phone. After hearing the message, Laura quickly cleans the house, erasing signs of the chaos caused by the demon-possessed Oliver. While Wendy and Laura inspect the house, Andy sneaks out to the backyard. In the shed, he finds a horrifying sight: Oliver gnawing on Katie's corpse. After talking with Laura and finding no reason to worry, Wendy suddenly notices Toy bleeding. Hearing Andy scream, Laura snaps and begs Wendy not to interfere, asking her to let things play out. But frightened by Laura's behavior, Wendy follows Andy to the shed to see for herself that in this house the word normal might as well be erased from the dictionary. They prepare to leave, but at that moment, Laura rams Wendy's car and hits Andy. After confirming her colleague is dead, Laura drowns the injured teenager in the puddle. Then she picks up Piper from practice and takes her home. There, Oliver, having eaten a piece of Andy, mimics his voice to lure the girl. Falling for the trick, Piper feels Oliver's face until Laura interrupts her. The woman calls her to come along to the pool. Suspecting something's wrong, Piper runs away and locks herself in the bathroom, where she finds her brother's corpse bitten by the demon-possessed boy. boy. Laura picks the lock and enters the bathroom, explaining the ritual to the girl. Panicked, Piper throws objects at her, trying to escape, but fails. After hitting her head, she falls. Laura drags her to the rain-filled pool, where Oliver waits with a belly full of dead flesh. Coming to, Piper breaks free, delaying her fate for now. When she suddenly calls her tormentor, Mom, Laura freezes in shock. The woman lets the girl go. Then Oliver stumbles after Piper, who runs into the police on the road. Spotting the missing person poster for Connor Bird, the demon crosses the protective boundary, leaving the boy's body outside in agonizing torment. The police later find him. Laura goes to the shed, pulls her daughter's corpse from the freezer, imagining what she'll be like by morning. She carries the body down into the pool where the girl drowned and holds her. The police find them there. The movie ends. All one click can change everything. Hit that subscribe button, leave a comment, and join the story.